my body just makes those really weird noises at the worst possible times, especially when I'm about ready to sit down and start recording. Because I literally sat here for a good 10 minutes trying I tried to say debate and decide at the same time. I was trying to decide what I think I should be actually talking about. So I finally settled on a topic, and then, like I say, the minute I start recording, my body makes weird noises. There you go. Anyway, hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host Matt, as always, and today I want to talk about Shovel Knight. Woo! Shovel Knight. Wow, what a late person I am to this game. Apparently it came out in 2019, so or at least the version I've got came out in 2019, because I got the treasure trove that's got the different versions and the different games all bundled together. So yeah, definitely late to the party. Don't tell anyone. The reason I finally pushed and bought the game is because for Christmas I got given a triple pack of the Shovel Knight characters. So King Knight, Spectre Knight, and Plague Knight, I think are the three that you get in it. My brain kind of is blurred together because there's quite a few knights in the game, obviously, because it's called Shovel Knight, right? So I've really liked Shovel Knight in the concept. I've seen people's art of them. I've seen, obviously, the assist trophy in Smash Bros. And I think the character of Shovel Knight is really cool. I really like the design, and I like the shovel aspect. Obviously, that's the whole point. It's just different from a sword. And then, obviously, the different other knights that are throughout the game. I've also enjoyed them. They also, weirdly enough, did a crossover between Just Shapes and Beats and Shovel Knight. I love Just Shapes and Beats. It's a fantastic game if you're into that kind of rhythm game, bullet hell style game. That's the best way I could describe it without showing you. The remixes of the 4 songs that they put in that game are phenomenal. Absolutely loved them. You've got a version of Strike the Earth, which is the main theme, which is just great. You've got La Danse Macabre, which is an awesome boss fight in Just Shapes and Beats. You've got In the Hall of the Usurper, which is my favourite. That remix, oh, so good. And I can't think of what the last one is. I think it's the Plague Knight one, or I can't think of its name now. That's really annoying. But there's 4, and they're all really, really good. So again, I'm really late to the party. I'm already a fan of the character designs. I'm already a fan of the concept. I'm a fan of the music. But I still haven't played the game right. And it was finally getting a bunch of amiibo that pushed me to actually go and buy the game. So I bought it digitally on my Switch because that's where I play pretty much everything, despite having a computer. But I mean, it's a 2D game, it doesn't need power to run. And having it on my Switch is nice because it means I can take it portably if I want to play it wherever I am. I was not prepared for this, I'll be perfectly honest. Shovel Knight is hard. Or maybe I'm just bad. I have never properly played, I didn't start playing games until I was, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years old, and by that point it's like the early 2000s, so we're already into the we're already into the 3D era. 2D platformers aren't really a thing, especially not the early 2D platformers, which were just unforgiving because it was the beginning of video games, right? This is designed intentionally to be a difficult game. It's designed that you have to learn how the game works, you have to learn how the mechanics work, and you have to refine your skills to be able to play it competently. As far as I can tell, I think, was there a normal? There might have been a normal and a hard mode, but there's no sort of difficulty slider of how hard or difficult you want it. I think it is just normal or fan noise. Damn it. Computers, fans. Wow. So I don't think I was actually prepared at all, because I'd only ever really played mostly 3D games. I haven't even played the original Sonic 2D games, so that tells you something. I got fairly competent with 3D platformers. I've played a lot of the Mario games, but I mean, they're not overly difficult unless you go for the hard challenges, and even then they're still fairly easy enough because they're designed for all ages, whereas this is not designed for all ages, let's put it that way. My initial first impressions, really cool. I love the 8-bit style music. The art direction is really just visually appealing, I think is the best way to do it. The animations are gorgeous. You look at it as like an 8-bit game or whatever bit, but the animations are really smooth and fluid, and everything looks really nice, and it works really well together. The controls are tight. which is not something I'm used to. I'm used to things overshooting or being slightly mushy because that's how modern games are designed. So that took a little bit of getting used to. And also the Switch Pro controller is not the greatest input method for this type of 2D platformer. So there's that, getting used to how that functions. I'm also not used to the rules of this kind of game. So like the biggest thing to me that's really weird and confusing is that boss fights are just an active hitbox. So if you just jump into them, regardless of whether they're doing an attack, you're gonna get hit. That's one thing that I learned and I'm still getting used to. The second thing is patience. A lot of modern games you can just kind of be a bit reckless and do sort of what you want, whereas in this it really punishes you for being rash and just jumping in and doing stuff as you want. There's also just no instant revive mode. There's no instant save mode, in a sense that if you fail a jump, for example, you go back to a last checkpoint, which could be really far back in the level, whereas in like modern 3D games it tends to put you back just before the jump you did, so it's a lot more unforgiving in that aspect. There's a particular level that possibly a lot of people would agree with where you can literally fall down through the level to lower sections or even into a death pit that sets you back quite far. I fell many times. I screamed many times. You probably know which one I'm talking about. And nothing is taught to you particularly. The game tells you, here's what a thing does and here's how to activate said thing, but it doesn't tell you how it functions properly. So like the biggest thing to explain this is there's a level, I believe it's called Frigid Fright, and it requires that you use the propeller blade, I think it's called. That whole level is designed really to teach you the nitty-gritty of how the propeller function can help you get through a level and how you can use it to do certain things, but none of it is told to you. It's semi-telegraphed but not told. So like for example, one thing is you can rapid tap and fly multiple distances without actually falling. You fall a little bit between each one as the animation finishes, but you can fly multiple times. That's not told to you, it's just implied by the level design. You can jump and you can fly and then immediately go into a shovel dive, for example. That's telegraphed but not told to you. So it's like, it's frustrating because you might look at something and go, how am I supposed to do this? And the level design tells you how to do it, but in a kind of cryptic way, if that makes sense. There's a lot less hand holding is the best way to describe it. So for someone who's not used to how these games function, that's hard because I have to learn by trial and error, or I just have to make an educated guess. I think that like the best way to kind of describe it is I, as a avid rhythm game player, I'm kind of used to the weird idiosyncrasies with rhythm games. Stuff that's known to me now because I've played so many of them, but probably to a first time player they wouldn't understand it. That's a weird explanation, but that's kind of the thing. Overall, so far, it's a great game. I do enjoy it, but there is no in between for me, and I think it's just a me problem. It's either really, really fun and I'm enjoying it, I'm rocking off to the music and doing fun platforming, or I'm screaming my head off because I'm so frustrated with how it plays. Like, some of the random boss encounters throughout the game really just annoyed me because I was sat there like, this just seems cheap and unfair, if that makes sense. All of the actual boss fights are fine for the most part. Either they were really easy for me for no apparent reason, or they're really difficult and eventually my brain says, stop being an idiot and do it properly, and then it's fine. It's a lot of trial and error though, and I think again that's just because I haven't played much of many games like this, so I have to get used to how to play this kind of game. I'm glad I've done it though, because it's fun and I'm actually experiencing the game. It's cool. So there's that. And I would say if you're in the same position as me and you haven't bought it yet, I would just say you have to understand that it's going to be hard for probably a little while whilst you get used to how to play that kind of game. If you've played games like it before, you'll be fine. Otherwise, you have to be in it to enjoy it, I suppose. Otherwise, maybe just steer clear because it can be extremely frustrating. And if you're one of those people that gets frustrated very easily and then just you fall into that cycle of you get frustrated because you made a mistake, but then you want to get back to where you were, so you kind of speed through it, but then you make more mistakes in earlier sections, so you get even more angry and more frustrated, and it compounds. I'm like that, but I know my point where I'll push through and either succeed or I'll say to myself, right, let's stop, go away, come back to it the next day and do it properly. So yeah, Shovel Knight. It's really cool. It's really fun. It's really frustrating. 10 out of 10. I don't know. It's one of those weird things, right? So, you could always just watch a playthrough of someone else if you don't want to actually try and do it like I am. But I wanted to experience it, so here we are. Anyway, I have to see what the amiibo actually do. I haven't got the back of the package yet. I have a Shovel Knight amiibo, so that was the first thing I tried, and that's fun. I won't say what it does in case you don't know, but it's like a little, oh, that's cool, that's fun. So yeah, I'll have to see what the other ones do. Maybe they only work in their respective games, so watch me cry when I get to try the other characters in their games and I have to relearn how to play and everything. Oh, we'll find out. Anyway, I will see you all next week. Bye!